simple yellow dal, possibly the most requested recipe I have after my spice classes. I'm using my preferred lentil for this recipe, which is a channa dal. So one of the keys for dal is soaking your lentils. So I soaked these overnight. You want to soak your lentils in heaps of water because they absorb the water and then they swell and soften, and that's what makes them easier to digest, easier to cook, and also what removes some of that starch quality, which prohibits spice expressing itself. So starch is a blanket on flavour. Once they're soaked, you can see the difference. So this is a soaked lentil and this is a lentil that hasn't touched water. And you can see how much more plump, and they're just so much softer. So you can almost eat these just as they are. But we are going to drain these, so just strain the water off. And then when you strain it off, also give the lentils a little rinse, because that way you'll rinse any remnant starch off as well. All right. So I even tasted now raw. It's a little bit like eating a peanut, but sweeter and cooler. They have quite a cool quality. So we're just going to pop this in the pressure cooker. If you don't have a pressure cooker, you can use a heavy based pan. Follow the same instructions. Just understand that it's going to take a lot longer. So this dal is going to cook in this pressure cooker in about 35 minutes. In a heavy based pan, it might take a couple of hours. So this is 2 cups of lentils soaked. So 1, 3. So normally I would do this by feel. And what I'm feeling for, can you see this movement? The lentils are moving very, very freely through that water, but they're not floating, but they're not tight. So it's finding the real happy medium. Not so much water that the dal becomes liquid, and not so little that it clags up and becomes very sticky and heavy. And at that point, you've really lost a lot of the beauty of the dal, which is that really delicious texture, which still has some structure in it, but has this really lovely light silky feel. Spice-wise, this is salt, turmeric, and if you like, a little bit of jaggery. So I'm going to say 2 teaspoons of pink salt, a teaspoon or 1/3 of a teaspoon of a fine white salt, 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, and a little chunk of jaggery. Jaggery is an unrefined cane sugar. If you need to learn more about what jaggery is, you can look to the video on my channel, which goes into all the information and the specifics. Suffice to say, it's a really round sugar and provides a beautiful, soft, unctuous, caramelized, sort of malty feel. So what I'm putting in here is a 2 centimetre by 2 centimetre piece of jaggery. Now this just gets pressure cooked. So pop the lid on. I'm going to pressure cook it, like I said, for around 30 minutes or until it's just cooked. So the pressure cooker is going to go onto a high heat until it releases a couple of jets of pressure from the valve, at which point I turn it down to a medium-low heat and cook the dal off at that capacity for the following 20 minutes. This is the tadka for the dal, so the tempered spice. The pressure cooker is where the structure and the salt is, and the tadka is where we're putting the warmth and the texture and that earthy, beautiful, encompassing spice that dal really is known for, which is that feeling of nurture. So the tadka is very simple. This is Kashmiri style. Cumin seed, Kashmiri chili, and ginger, fresh and ground. So for 2 cups of lentils that are in that dal, I'm going to use 3 teaspoons of whole cumin seed, 1/2 teaspoon of Kashmiri chili, which is a really mild, smoky, floral chili, and just 1/3 of a teaspoon of ginger. So So again, just on a microplane, like minced ginger in effect. And while I'm doing this, the pressure cooker's like whistling away in the background. But what I can smell from the pressure cooker is the smell of lentils cooking. So the sensory translation of that is it's nutty and warm, but there's no burnt edge to it. So as soon as you start to smell, if you're using a pressure cooker, because you can't see it, you really have to rely on your sense of smell. And then ghee, always ghee. The thing about ghee is that it does contribute a particular quality. So it's very sweet, it's very unctuous. It's creamy and silky, and ghee helps in that silkiness and that beautiful smooth mouthfeel. So 2 tablespoons. By virtue of the fact that this is called tempered spice, we are going to heat it. So my stove goes to 15, I'll pop it on 9. So you can see that this dal doesn't have a lot of extraneous produce or overloaded flavour. It really is about creating like a blanket of a dish. And by a blanket of a dish, I mean it's literally like a blanket on the knee in terms of comfort. Gosh, that smells good already. Now, like any simple dish, there's not a lot of places to hide with dal. So even though I'm giving you this recipe and I'm giving you all the steps, please don't be disappointed if it's not the best thing you've ever eaten straight away. I know I keep saying it, but it's a dish you gotta feel. All right, so come and have a little look in here, because that is yum. It's all browned and delicious and warm, and it smells nutty and spicy and sweet. The sweetness is the ghee. It's done. I'll come over here and have a little look. I'm going to put the spice in here. So there's your tempered spice. So just to finish, garam masala. So garam masala isn't used on every dish to finish, but with dal, it's kind of one of those key ingredients. So we're going to use a teaspoon and then try. Yum. Oh, it's just so smooth. The beautiful thing about dal is it's not a punchy flavour, it's not a challenging flavour, and it's not an unfamiliar flavour. The lentil itself has a sweetness. The ghee's in there to smooth things over. Cumin seed is very forward. Ginger is just a background warmth, and the Kashmiri chili in there isn't for any sort of real heat. It's for a little bit of elegance and length, so it gives some height to the dish. The garam masala on top just wraps it in this very opaque, blanketing warmth. Garam masala is quite a dense flavour profile. So it's soupy, but it's still structural. You can still see the lentil form in there. And that is my favourite consistency. So a little katori of dal with rice and chapati is just the most basic but most delicious taste of India. You don't want a spoon, you really do want chapati when you eat dal. And though Indian food is very, very regional, it's hyper-regional in terms of spicing and dishes, that trinity of dishes, dal, rice and chapati, is eaten across the spectrum. It's just that everyone's dal has a slightly different accent.